7 days to go before this year's legislative session wraps up, and one of our lawmakers' biggest priorities still isn't finished. Good evening, I'm Montana McLaughlin. Well, we're talking about the state's infrastructure bill. It funds repairs on highways, bridges, and at universities. So what's the holdup? Well, last year, a bill to fund transportation and universities didn't make it. Some legislators say spending money on structures isn't right with our current economy, but for others, infrastructure upgrades mean serving communities throughout the whole state that need repairs.
It's just a few people that just have a philosophical bent against spending money to build projects, and so we buy our houses with a mortgage on credit, and that's how we build our roads and our bridges and our schools.
No doubt there are some issues with infrastructure in Montana, but in my mind, infrastructure is roads. It's all flat. It's roads, water systems, sewer systems, and bridges, not vertical structures.
Also new tonight in Helena, the $10.3 billion state budget is now headed to Governor Steve Bullock's desk for signing. It passed in a narrow vote, 58-41. The state's spending plan is 0.6% higher than the previous one, but it includes cuts across many state agencies. Some say cuts go too deep, but as of now, there's no word on what Governor Bullock plans to do. So what else has the Montana legislature finished this session? Let's take a look. Nearly 1,200 bills were introduced. So far, 278 passed. We checked with Legiscan and found this same number of bills were introduced in 2015, but lawmakers passed almost double. The most watched measure this year is the one that would have allowed counties to run an all vote-by-mail election for the upcoming special congressional race for U.S. House. You can follow along with us as we monitor the last days of this legislative session. Find our special section on NBCMontana.com. Well, changes in store for your weekend forecast. Matt, let's hear what's going on.
Yeah, so what we're going to end up seeing here is a little bit of a calm pattern, finally, a break from all the rain and all this sort of stuff that we've been having. So there's the radar. Things finally kind of wrapping up here as we have seen showers diminish quite a bit in the past few hours. And now let's zoom out a little bit, show you across the Pacific Northwest, now moving under what we call a ridge of high pressure, the prevailing winds creating that little mountain shape that you see right there. That's going to keep that storm and those clouds off the Pacific coast that you can see there from getting towards us, at least in the near future, but they are going to head our way later on this weekend. What that means, a rare day of sunshine for us. It will be a little cool in the morning, lows in the 30s, and then we'll push our way up into the 40s and 50s by the time we get to lunchtime. Not bad for an Earth Day. We'll have more on those showers for late in the weekend coming up.
If you want to stay up to date during your weekend with the latest weather info, download our news and weather apps. Well, tonight, some of the best Native American dancers and drum groups made their way to the University of Montana for the 49th annual Kiayo celebration. The Kiayo Native American Student Association raised more than $10,000 to host this event. Event organizers expect more than 4,000 people to attend this weekend. It's one of the oldest student-run powwows in the country and lets the Native American community share their culture with all of Montana.
The one thing I like about the powwow is the diversity of all these different tribes coming together. I'm from Buffalo, New York, which is, straight across the other side of the country. My tribe is Seneca, but it's a great experience to try to see other tribes and other people groups represented and enjoying themselves and having a good time.
Tonight's event kicked off at 7 o'clock. If you'd like to go, there's also events tomorrow at noon and at 7. Tickets can be purchased online or at the door. Well, today, Donald Trump Jr. stopped in Kalispell to campaign for Republican Greg Gianforte. Gianforte is running for Ryan Zinke's old seat in the U.S. House after Zinke became the Secretary of Interior. Today, organizers say a crowd between 450 and 500 people showed up to hear Trump Jr. speak at the Kalispell airport, but also some protesters who flashed signs at the countless cars waiting to get in. Inside the rally, guest speakers included Senator Steve Daines, Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, and Donald Trump Jr.
So we would like a government to get back to what it was supposed to be, of the people and by the people and for the people. And that's why we're all here today.
Enthusiasm of what's happening nationally and also here in Montana. Things are looking better than they've looked for a long time.
Greg Gianforte faces Democrat Rob Quist in the special election. Today and Saturday, Quist will be in Billings. He released new ads this week where he says he will defend the Second Amendment and hunting on public lands. His Billings campaign office is set to open Saturday, April 22nd. And a last-minute decision by the U.S. Supreme Court means the Montana ballot for that special election is set. Montana minor party candidates Thomas Breck, Steve Kelly, and Doug Campbell claimed that Montana's ballot access laws don't give third-party candidates a fair opportunity. They took the issue to the Supreme Court after a Great Falls judge denied them access. But tonight, Justice Anthony Kennedy refused to hear that appeal. So what will that May 25th ballot look like? 3 candidates will try and replace Ryan Zinke, Democrat Rob Quist, Republican Greg Gianforte, and Libertarian Mark Wicks. We'll be following up on this race until it's decided on May 25th. Well, the Roaring Lion Fire in the Bitterroot Valley was a springboard for more controversy in the ongoing debate on forest management practices. Corvallis High School's Future Farmers of America are exploring the agricultural issue in a role-playing presentation. FFA members debate 2 sides, whether humans should have an active role in managing the forest or whether it should be left alone to manage itself. The students present the viewpoints of an environmentalist, a recreationalist, a timber manager, and a civiculturalist and homeowners.
We aim to create a presentation that is very balanced. We do not want to come away with one side or the other as having all the answers. Instead, we want our judges and the general public to make up their own mind based on the solid scientific facts that we present in our presentation.
The students will take their presentation to state competition next month. Michael McKay, the young man you just saw, is in Indianapolis this weekend at the American Legion's national competition. He's Montana's first place winner in this event. Well, did you know tomorrow is not only Earth Day, but it's also Clark Fork River Day? That's right. Well, in the early 2000s, the Missoula City Council passed an ordinance naming April 22nd after the river that runs through it. Tomorrow, hundreds of volunteers are expected to turn out and clean up the riverbanks. Our Madison Dapsevich has more.
In a city where a river runs through it, it's no wonder every April hundreds of volunteers turn out to clean it. Tomorrow is the 14th annual Clark Fork River Cleanup, and Clark Fork Coalition Executive Director Karen Knutson says it'll be one for the books.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission to remove trash and pollution from the riverbanks of the Clark Fork River as it flows through downtown Missoula.
And the cleanup even reaches outside city limits. Volunteers can expect to pick up litter in Bonner, Tura, and even Deep Creek.
This is an incredible ecological asset, which also importantly drives local economies. So we've got some businesses that are really dependent on a clean and healthy Clark Fork River.
Volunteers can expect to meet here at Caras Park tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock. And while this year's cleanup is focused around trash pickup, one Missoula business owner tells us it's about something much more than that. Andrew Gonzalez is the owner of Love Boat Paddle Company, supplying Missoula paddlers with the tools and education they need to get out and enjoy the water.
I try to spend all my time on the rivers around here. It's the reason why I live in Montana. It's the reason why I live in Missoula, is that it is a river community. We have the Blackfoot, the Bitterroot, and the Clark Fork that all converge right here, and you just don't have that in a lot of other places.
And for Gonzalez, the cleanup is a time to bring community together.
And it's rewarding. It feels really good at the end of the day to know that you gave back to the community that has given you so much.
We found these images in our archives. 700 volunteers last year cleaned up 4,000 pounds of trash and more than 650 pounds of recyclables. This year, Knutson is hoping for around 900 volunteers and is willing to pay them in barbecue.
That's like the double dragon. It's going to be an incredible day.
It's an opportunity to really give it your all for the earth and for the Clark Fork River.
Perfect for a city where a river runs through it. In Missoula, Madison Dapsevich, NBC Montana.
Well, new reaction tonight from President Trump about the Paris shootings. He says the attack will probably help far-right candidates when polls open Sunday for the French presidential election. Well, right now, you're looking at beefed up security at those polling locations. Just yesterday, we told you how an attack officials blamed on an extremist killed 1 police officer and injured 2 others. Now, the government is calling out 50,000 police officers and bringing in 7,000 soldiers. Witnesses can't forget what they saw yesterday. They said it was pretty horrific. Well, France's anti-terrorism prosecutor says the 39-year-old attacker filled his car with weapons, including a shotgun and large kitchen knives. Officials say a paper found next to his body indicates he supported ISIS. We'll keep you updated with any new developments. Well, in Washington, D.C. tonight, it's countdown to shutdown. President Trump has until the end of next week to get a spending bill through Congress in order to avoid a government shutdown. Budget additions like money for a wall along the Mexican border could slow these talks. NBC's Blaine Alexander has more.
For President Trump, the clock is ticking. 1 week to get a spending bill through Congress or face a government shutdown.
The government is coming along really well. A lot of good things are happening.
The budget talks now include a controversial sticking point, the president's long-promised border wall.
We're going to build the wall. Mexico's going to pay for the wall.
Budget Director Mick Mulvaney now insisting the spending plan include billions of dollars for the wall. Even some pro-wall lawmakers are against that idea.
First and foremost, let's get the government funded, let's keep the lights on, and then move on to the continuation of the debate when it comes to these other riders.
For the president, an effort to add another accomplishment before the end of his first 100 days next week. Today, he tweeted about the deadline, calling it a ridiculous standard, saying, "No matter how much I accomplish, media will kill." This as the White House is pushing Congress to revive health care by the end of next week. And today, a major win on the foreign front.
We are very happy to have Aya back home.
Securing the release of American aid worker Aya Hijazi, held prisoner in Egypt for 3 years despite previous efforts from President Obama. Even as President Trump faces his biggest foreign challenge yet, North Korea, by all indications preparing for a nuclear test before the end of the weekend. And the White House has scheduled a briefing for senators next week on North Korea. But this is somewhat unprecedented. Typically, these briefings are held at the U.S. Capitol, but instead they're planning to bus all 100 senators to the White House for that meeting. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
Well, coming up from East Coast to West Coast, thousands without power in some of the country's major cities. We'll tell you why. Plus, here is a live look over Missoula from our Garlington weather camera. Matt Gray is tracking changing conditions on the other side of this break.
Last night, Fallon was playing with animals.
Oh, wonderful. He loves you.
Don't miss tonight with Selma Hayek and Mike Birbiglia. Then Seth has Chris Evans. All new Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Then Late Night with Seth Meyers. NBC Tonight.
We're known for our fantastic selection of annuals, perennials, trees, and shrubs. But did you also know that we carry over 30 varieties of soils and soil amendments? Your favorite products, like Scott's Miracle-Gro, or Whitney Farms Organic Potting Soil, and of course, Glacier Gold Compost. Not sure what you need? Our friendly, knowledgeable teammates are ready to lend you a helping hand. Or a shovel.
Did you know in Congress there are nearly 300 millionaires? No wonder their so-called health reform was just another tax break for the rich. And no wonder they want to sell our public lands to private developers and hand our Social Security to Wall Street. This should not be the Millionaires Club. This is the House of Representatives. I'm Rob Quist, and I approve this message to represent all Montanans, not just the millionaires.
One nice thing I like about Moore Hearing, they've kept up with all the modern improvements and been right there at the top to give you the best service there is. I'm very satisfied. It's always never a dread to go. It's always been a pleasure to go. I feel a great friendship for the people that are there. I've recommended it to everyone that I've talked to that might need hearing.
For up-to-the-minute conditions and the most accurate forecasting, watch Brooke Foster weekday mornings on NBC Montana Today. This segment of the news is brought to you by your Montana Chevy dealers.
Well, new tonight, it took all day, but the power is back on in San Francisco. Officials blame an insulation fire at a PG&E substation for causing the outage this morning. They say 88,000 people were without power and 300 traffic signals were down. Well, if you've ever been to San Francisco, you know that would make for a huge problem. But they weren't the only city this happened to. Tonight, the New York City subway system's recovering after a power loss shut down several lines there, stranding passengers and causing agonizing delays. And another brief outage today at Los Angeles International Airport as well.
Nationwide, this is happening 10 times a day. We need to get on this problem or the outages are just going to get worse in the future.
Federal law enforcement
sources say so far there's no reason to suspect sabotage, but the nation's power grid gets a D+ rating from the nation's civil engineers. And take a look at this. Severe flooding created dangerous driving conditions across central Oklahoma today. Officials say strong water flowing across a road picked up a semi-truck and swept it into this ditch. Officials say the truck was carrying oil field drilling chemicals. Right now, no known injuries. Heavy rains caused washed out conditions across that region. Flash flooding, hail, and high winds were reported, with rain totals ranging from 2 to 6 inches.
And now Matt Gray with your forecast.
Well, it's not 6 inches of rain here, luckily, but I do know we've got a little bit of rain in the forecast for this weekend, Matt.
Yeah, if there were 6 inches of rain, number one, I would be freaking out. Number two, that's a great example of why you shouldn't drive through flooded roadways.
Exactly.
It does not take that much. So, it's been a wet spring. Not that wet, but it has been a wet spring, and we're finally going to get a little bit of a break here tonight in one of these rare days where we have a lot of sunshine, or more sunshine than rain showers. So already beginning to clear out tonight across the region. And as we head out here, this is going to be, like I said, a rare day because our little ridge of high pressure, it's going to give us some nice clear skies. Well, that's only going to last for a day. By tomorrow night, this storm is going to have moved in, and you look out into the Pacific, and all it is clouds and showers and unsettled weather. So you can imagine what my 7-day forecast is going to look like. A lot of these. Here is your weekend planner. Saturday, definitely the day to get outside. Much warmer temperatures, especially in the Missoula area. Look at that, 64 and then only 55 as we head into Sunday with those rainy conditions. So pretty nice. There'll be a little bit of a chill in the morning as we're in the 30s, up into the 50s by noon, 60s for the Missoula area as we head towards 4 p.m. Likely going to be close to 60 degrees in Kalispell, but may not quite get there in Kalispell itself. And certainly a great forecast for outdoor Earth Day celebrations. A lot of that stuff going on. Whitefish Middle School is having a big one, 11 to 3 p.m. Starting off in the 40s, in the 50s as we head on into the afternoon. Temperatures overnight as we're getting up in the morning will reach the 20s in some of the higher elevations, so places like Seeley Lake and Georgetown Lake dropping into the 20s. Elsewhere, right around that freezing mark or a little bit below that, 30 for Phillipsburg, Hamilton, Kalispell, 32 in Missoula. For tomorrow, 64 in the Missoula area. That's right, 64. That is going to feel quite nice. 63 in Hamilton, 60 for Phillipsburg, 59 in Kalispell. It's going to feel more like it should this time of year as we've been running a little below average for a while with all of the showery weather. Also, not pictured on the map there, but Butte. We'll get up into the 50s, and the Grizz spring game is tomorrow. That kicks off at 1 p.m. in Butte. 50 degrees to start. We'll end up in the middle 50s by the time the game ends. Should be a great day to watch some football. Now, as we go through the day, we are going to see a little bit more cloud cover right about 1 p.m. And into the early afternoon around Kalispell to Missoula. We may see a sprinkle up in the mountains, maybe that one little raindrop that falls on you, and you're like, well, where'd that come from? But that's about it. Now, as we head late into the night, a little bit of a different story. Showers will begin to move in from that Pacific storm as we head towards 8:30, 9 o'clock around Lincoln and Sanders counties. And you can kind of see that beginning to increase a little bit as we head towards 10 o'clock. A lot of rain through the overnight hours around the Missoula area to Ovando, some heavier rain. So expect it to be a little bit soggy with even some mountain snowfall, places like Lolo and Lost Trail Pass. And we'll see more showery weather, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder as you head south of the Hamilton area through that time frame. However, with it being warm and seeing just rain, at least for now, green on the severe weather tracker. Your extended outlook, what did I tell you guys? More rain off in the forecast. Temperatures remain in the 50s, so enjoy those close to 60-degree temperatures. And we'll just keep right on trucking here. More showers, high percentage rain chances, especially early in the week. There's Missoula, and not a whole lot of difference here. But Sunday and Monday look especially wet. Tuesday and Wednesday look that way too, and we're going to see the showery pattern continue really all the way up until next weekend.
Well, I'm really looking forward to some more sun.
Yeah, so
Saturday's a
good day.
But it's perfect that it's happening tomorrow, because tomorrow is Earth Day. And just after the break, we'll tell you how you can even help conserve energy tomorrow as well.
Which liberal politicians support a gun registry? Nancy Pelosi and Rob Quist. Who supports government-run health care? With higher taxes and more spending? Quist and Pelosi again. Government regulations that threatened coal jobs? Yep, Quist and Pelosi supported those too. On issue after issue, politician Rob Quist shares Nancy Pelosi's liberal San Francisco values. That makes liberal politician Rob Quist wrong for Montana. The NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Greg Gianforte, and I approve this message.
We've already heard of Rob Quist's trail of unpaid debt, the 15 grand of unpaid property taxes, the small businessman he cheated out of thousands. But why did Quist skip out on his bills? He says he was too sick to work. Not true, says the Billings Gazette. Quist was working and getting paid all along. Rob Quist doesn't pay his bills, doesn't tell the truth, doesn't have Montana values.
Babies stay in mom's tummies till it's time to come out. Babies are in mom's tummy for 3 years. Babies stay in mommy's tummies for like 3 weeks. I'm not really sure how babies get here, but they're just here. Western Montana Clinic.
Right now, today at Bitterroot Furniture in Hamilton, the crowds have gathered for unprecedented furniture savings. A store full of quality home furnishings, now marked 1/2 off suggested retail. You heard correctly. Take the suggested retail price, cut it in half, divide it by 2, and that's the price you pay. Name brand furniture at 1/2 off suggested retail. This sale ends Saturday, tomorrow, so you must act quickly. Only at Bitterroot Furniture in Hamilton.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Fred's Appliance.
It's a great time to evaluate your energy use just in time for Earth Day. Our modern lives run on a lot of electricity, but technology can also help conserve energy. Liz McLaughlin shows us how going green can also save you some green.
If you're always leaving the lights on, try upgrading to connected lighting. Smart bulbs that can be programmed and controlled through an app.
Even turning them off remotely if you forgot to turn them off before you leave the house.
Climate control can be costly, but smart thermostats can make sure the air is only on when you need it.
They have sensors built in that can learn when you're in the house and when you're not, and learn your schedule.
There are even smart air conditioners. And beware of vampire power. Leaving chargers and other devices plugged in can suck your energy.
If you plug these things into a power strip that has an on-off switch, it's very easy to just hit that off switch.
A smart plug can make your phone the off